sub-Saharan African state is pretty lousy, both on protecting its own citizens and providing institutional environment that can provide law and order and some economic growth. So the comparative institutional question is, how does Somalia do relative to that baseline? And it seems like it does fairly well. So some implications then, without being too universal about it, customary law is not unique to Somalia. Almost any African I've talked to will have some version of customary law in their country. Often it's more tribal-based and less competitive, so it might not have the features of Somalia of voluntarily chosen clan elders, geographic mobility, non-geographic monopoly, and switchability, which are key things for competition in the legal system. But they all have some version of it. I was giving a talk, actually, not for fee, I think for IHS a couple summers ago, and there was a guy from Zimbabwe lecturing, and he was talking about how the state doesn't enforce property rights, and you can't trust it to resolve any of these disputes, and he goes on and on about it, and he's talking about the urban areas. So I went up to him afterwards, I said, well, how do you resolve disputes? He said, well, you can't with the state, they just do what they want. I'm like, no, just two people in the countryside. Oh, and then he immediately starts discussing an indigenous customary legal system. So they're all out there. The question is, how competitive are they? What type of rules will they generate? And how does it compare to their own states? So George Aidi makes an argument that we need to distinguish between modern Africa, which basically equates with the state sector and those industries tied to its subsidization is tied to the state, and traditional Africa, which is the type of things that many people in these other countries engage in businesses that are involved in the customary legal systems there, background indigenous industries. And he says that much effort's made to prop up the so-called modern sector, and that modern sector really lives at the expense of the informal or indigenous sector that was always there and sustaining people. So what he says, the book that I edited was, the rogue African nation state should be left to the fate it deserves, implosion and state collapse. Which sounds pretty radical, and most people would say to that, but if that happened, you'd get Somalia. And my point is, yeah, and that ain't so bad, given what most of the sub-Saharan African countries are like. So with that, I'll end and take some questions for you for a few minutes before I have to run and grab a cab. Yes?
I was wondering if you could discuss the international